My name is Mpilo Mizere. I'm the founder and CEO of Malaika Productions. Malaika Productions is a company that is focused on telling African stories. I founded the company in 2021. When I was a kid, teenage, even before I was a teenager, like between the ages of 8 and 12, I was really into comic books. So, I was into Marvel, DC. I used to watch a lot of animations on TV, and I was also into drawing. So at that time, I used to draw a lot of comic book characters. I used to come up with my own characters. I used to draw my own comic books. And I also used to read a lot of Ray Bradbury novels, and I used to always come up with stories. Now, the challenge that I saw was that there was not much about Africa in what I used to watch. And that was one thing that was missing for me. Now, when I think that was in 1991, there was this movie that came out called Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, starring Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman. And in that movie, Morgan Freeman played a Moor from Africa. And I remember watching that movie, I was so taken away by Morgan Freeman's character. And I kept thinking to myself, it would be really cool to see this character develop outside this movie. Because in this movie, he's like the sidekick of Kevin Costner. And I was thinking to myself, it would be great to see what this guy's life was in Africa. And that's when the idea about telling a story of a medieval African warrior came from. I was inspired by that movie, actually. So originally, this was supposed to be a live action miniseries.
Because that was the initial idea, and I think that if we're able to achieve that, if we're able to convince a studio or a financier to turn this into a film series, that would be really great, because that's what we initially set out to do at the beginning.
But if you study how most of these movies get made, especially when it's your first movie, it never comes easy. You find out the time it takes maybe 5 to 10 years. And that's when we said, okay, why don't we just make a graphic novel, and then maybe from there, we'll continue marketing it, and then eventually we'll be able to make a live action. So why is it called the 14th century? The period between the 11th and 16th centuries are known by historians as the golden age of African trade. This is a time where there was a lot of trade within Africa, a lot of exports, and there were a lot of trade routes, there were a lot of scholars, there were a lot of travelers traveling throughout Africa. Now, the 14th century, within that period, it signifies the last century. It's the century before Africa started to go on a decline. And that is why I called this the 14th century, because I thought it was a very symbolic era in African history. And I also think it's an era that we need to highlight, because a lot of people today, when they think of pre-colonial Africa, they think Africans were just sitting in darkness, waiting for colonization to take place. What a lot of people don't realize is that before that, there was this whole history that was there. And Africa's got a very long and interesting history.
I hope that it's going to spark a reading culture, because most of us love to see pictures when we read stuff. And also it's going to inspire us to go into the history and also inspire a different kind of storytelling. Malawians and Africans in general, we tend to look down in ourselves. So I hope this will tell young Africans and also old Africans as well, to say there are a lot of things that came out of Africa. We had explorers like Ibn Battuta, we had warriors, and we have a rich history that needs to be told and that needs to be remembered by us, modern day Africans. So I believe that this project, it's going to ignite that, and we are going to look at our history with pride, and not to look at Africa as a dark continent, but a continent that is full of color, that is full of bright stories, and has a bright future as well.
To read through this graphic comic is to come out feeling that Africa is a beautiful continent.
I had to be strategic with my art style. So basically, I decided to make it slightly simplistic, although if you like observe the lines, right, it doesn't have clean lines. It doesn't have the paper doesn't look so clean. I say paper, but I mean the canvas, right, doesn't look as clean or as just as crisp as it would, right? And that's all by design, because I wanted it to feel like a scroll. I wanted it to feel like an ancient African scroll that you've discovered. And so I gave it that little bit of messiness, although I still had to sort of have these fantastical elements in it.
I would love to be the mysterious warrior. That's what I would like to be, yes. Yeah, because it's such a complex character. The kind of person who doesn't know who he is right from the beginning. But as he's growing up, he's discovering himself. And I find that very fascinating.
Probably Ibn Battuta. Ibn Battuta is somebody who had to relearn to accept his destiny and accept his calling. And that's something that I relate to immensely.
I think Mansa Musa, because we believe that African stories are born out of poverty. Everything about Africa is about poverty. But to hear that an African king caused inflation in Egypt, and just because he distributed a lot of gold coins, it's something that is very, very amazing. Whoever felt lost and whoever felt that they need to get their way back and find their identity as an African.
Like they're looking for that book, but they just don't know what it is. I'm looking for the next thing. What is it? What is that thing? It's this. You're welcome. Open the first page. And when you open the first page, you're gonna open the second page. And when you open the second page, you'll be tempted to open the third page. And when you open the third page, there's no going back for you. You're done. You're mine now. You're ours now.
Okay, this is our press graphic novel, and we're asking you as our backers to support it.
Africa's the new frontier. This is just the beginning. We have so much more coming.
We're going to be giving out, there are several rewards. We have PDF copies. We also have hard copies. We also have posters, and we're also going to have t-shirts. So we're asking you to support this project, being our first project, because there's a lot more to come. Thank you.